Hey everyone, welcome back to TVP Wildlife, the wildest corner of YouTube where we explore the most amazing, bizarre, and mind-blowing animals on our planet. I'm your host, and today we're reaching new heights, literally, because we're talking about the tallest creature to ever walk the earth, the giraffe. Now you might think you know giraffes, tall, spotted, cute little horns, munching on trees, but trust me, there's so much more to these gentle giants than meets the eye. They've got crazy anatomy, wild love lives, and even stranger sleeping habits. So grab your binoculars, get comfy, and let's dive into part 1 of our 5-part journey, The Secret Life of Giraffes. Let's go wild. How the giraffe became the tallest animal on Earth. When you see a giraffe for the first time, your brain almost glitches for a second. Like, what even is that thing? It looks like someone took a horse, stretched it out in Photoshop, slapped on a leopard's pattern and said, "Perfect." That's nature's final draft. But that crazy long neck and those endless legs aren't just for show. They're the result of millions of years of evolution, all driven by one thing: survival. Let's rewind about 15 million years. Back then, giraffes didn't look much different from other antelope-like animals. In fact, their ancestor Samotherium had a neck that was, well, totally average. Cute but short, nothing special. Then somewhere along the evolutionary road, a weird thing started happening. Some giraffes were born with slightly longer necks. Maybe it helped them reach higher leaves. Maybe it gave them a better view to spot predators. Or maybe, just maybe, it made them look hotter to potential mates. Because here's the thing. Giraffes don't just use their necks for eating. They use them for fighting. Yeah, you heard that right. Male giraffes fight each other by swinging their necks like baseball bats. It's called necking, and it's exactly as ridiculous and awesome as it sounds. Two males stand side by side, and wham! They swing their necks trying to hit each other with their heavy heads like medieval maces. Sometimes the fights are gentle, just testing who's boss, but other times, it's brutal. You'll see one giraffe knock another clean off his feet. The stronger the neck, the higher the status. And the higher the status, the better the chances of finding a mate. So over thousands of generations, longer and stronger necks became the thing. Nature's version of survival of the swole. But long necks weren't just for love battles. They also turned giraffes into professional leaf-eating machines. In the African savanna, when every other animal is munching grass or lower branches, giraffes had an open buffet waiting above, the acacia trees. These trees are tall, spiky, and full of delicious green leaves that most animals can't reach. The giraffe's neck, up to 2.4 meters long, that's about 8 feet, gave them access to a food source no one else could touch. Talk about VIP dining, but it's not as easy as it looks. Acacia trees fight back. They're covered in sharp thorns and even release chemicals to warn nearby trees to produce more toxins when giraffes start eating. So, how do giraffes deal with that? They use their incredible tongues, black, tough, and about 45 centimeters, 18 inches long, to wrap around branches and carefully pluck leaves while dodging the spikes. Basically, it's like eating spaghetti with a ninja weapon. Now here's the wildest part. For all their height, giraffes have the same number of neck bones as we do. Just 7. Yup, 7 vertebrae, just like in your neck. The only difference? Each giraffe vertebra can be over 25 centimeters long, and that's not even the craziest part. Imagine pumping blood all the way up to a head that's over 2 meters above your heart. The giraffe's heart has to be super-powered. It weighs around 11 kilograms, 25 pounds, and can pump blood at double the pressure of a human's heart. If a human had that kind of blood pressure, we'd faint instantly. But giraffes? Totally fine. Nature engineered them perfectly for the job. Because of that intense blood pressure, giraffes have special valves in their neck veins to stop blood from rushing into their brain when they bend down to drink. Imagine being tall enough to see over trees, but needing to fold yourself in half just to take a sip of water. It's a risky move. Lions, crocodiles, hyenas, all waiting for a distracted giraffe to bow its head. That's why they only drink every few days, getting most of their moisture from leaves instead. So, when you see a giraffe strolling across the savanna, think about it. You're looking at one of nature's most brilliant designs. Every inch of that body, from the pumping heart to the sky-high neck, is a masterpiece of adaptation. It's not just tall for fun, it's tall for survival. And that's just the beginning. We've only scratched the surface of how giraffes came to rule the treetops. In part 2, we're diving into the weirdest body facts, from their purple tongues to their super speedy births. Trust me, it's going to blow your mind. The super-powered heart. Let's start with the engine that keeps this giant running. The heart. If humans are powered by a sedan engine, giraffes are running on a V8 turbo. This beast of a heart weighs about 11 kilograms, 25 pounds, roughly the size of a bowling ball, and pumps blood with twice the pressure of ours. That's the only way it can push oxygen-rich blood up a 2-meter, neck straight to the brain. Imagine pumping water up a 3-story building. That's basically what the giraffe's heart does every second of every day. Now, here's the wild part. When a giraffe bends down to drink, that blood pressure could send blood rushing into its brain like a fire hose. But does it? Nope. Because giraffes have a built-in pressure control system called the rete mirabile, Latin for wonderful net. It's a network of tiny blood vessels at the base of the brain that acts like a shock absorber, slowing the flow and preventing brain damage. Think of it as nature's anti-explosion device. So when you see a giraffe gracefully bending to sip from a watering hole, remember, it's performing one of nature's most dangerous yoga poses. You'd think that such a tall animal might be a bit clumsy, but giraffes are surprisingly graceful. Their brains may not be the biggest in the animal kingdom, but they're wired for balance, coordination, and strategy. Their inner ear is uniquely designed to handle constant height shifts, from eating leaves up high to lowering their heads down low. That's like standing in an elevator that moves 3 meters every few minutes without getting dizzy. And giraffes aren't as slow as they look. They can remember paths to waterholes, recognize other giraffes by sight, and even remember humans they've interacted with. Some researchers say their emotional memory is on par with elephants. They've been seen mourning fallen herd members. So yeah, tall doesn't mean dull. All right, let's talk about the celebrity of giraffe anatomy, the tongue. If there was an award for most underrated animal body part, the giraffe's tongue would win every time. It's blackish purple, 45 centimeters long, and strong enough to strip leaves from a thorny acacia branch without getting hurt. The color isn't random. It's actually melanin, the same pigment that gives our skin its color. The dark tone protects the tongue from sunburn while it spends hours out in the blazing African sun. Think about it. A giraffe spends up to 16 hours a day eating, and that means its tongue is exposed to sunlight more than any sunscreen could handle. So evolution basically gave it a built-in SPF 100. And that tongue, it's prehensile, meaning it can grab, twist, and even hold things. If you ever get licked by a giraffe, which by the way, feels like being dragged across sandpaper, you'll never forget it. Next time you see a giraffe walking, don't be fooled by its slow swaying stride. That's just the warm-up. When it runs, it can hit 55 kilometers per hour, about 35 in Meripi. That's as fast as a galloping horse. But the way giraffes run is weird. Most animals move opposite legs at the same time, front left with back right for balance. Giraffes? They move both legs on one side together, left, then right. It's called a pacing gait, and it gives them that rocking, slow-motion look. When they're at full speed, it looks like a living pendulum. Head and neck swinging forward, legs pushing back like pistons. Each stride can cover 6 meters of ground. Their legs are also lethal weapons. A giraffe's kick is strong enough to crush a lion's skull or break a predator's spine. In fact, most lions avoid adult giraffes. They usually target the calves instead. So yeah, gentle giants? Sure. But mess with them, and you'll find out how gentle a 900-kilogram tank with hooves really is. We talked about how giraffes have only 7 neck vertebrae, same as us. But let's get into the rest of their bones. A giraffe's legs alone are taller than most humans, about 1.8 meters, 6 feet. Their neck vertebrae are massive, but what's even crazier is how they fit into the skull and spine. Their heads are lightweight, full of air pockets, to reduce the strain on the neck. And their bones? Extra dense to keep all that height stable. When giraffes walk, they shift their center of gravity constantly, like tightrope artists. If they didn't, they'd just tip over. It's also why giraffes can't jump. Their front legs are too long and they can't lift them off the ground fast enough. You'll never see a giraffe leap. Nature said, you can be tall, or you can jump, not both. Here's something most people don't realize. Drinking water is one of the most dangerous things a giraffe does. They have to splay their legs apart, bend the front ones awkwardly, and lower their neck down almost in slow motion, eat down while keeping an eye out for predators. It's like trying to drink from a puddle while doing the splits and watching your back. That's why giraffes can go days, even weeks, without drinking. They get most of their hydration from the juicy acacia leaves they eat. Still, every once in a while they risk it. When you see that iconic image of a giraffe awkwardly bending to drink, you're watching one of the rarest and riskiest moves in nature. Now, let's talk about baby giraffes, or as scientists call them, calves. When a female giraffe gives birth, she does it standing up. Yeah, you heard that right. The baby drops about 2 meters, 6 feet straight to the ground. Welcome to life, little one. But don't worry, that fall actually helps. It breaks the umbilical cord and jumpstarts the calf's breathing. Within 30 minutes, the newborn can already stand. Within an hour, it's walking, and within 10 hours, it can run. Because, well, in the African savanna, you don't get a lot of warm-up time. Predators like lions, hyenas, and wild dogs are always on the lookout. So baby giraffes have to grow fast, literally overnight. Mothers are fiercely protective too. They'll kick predators to death if they have to. In the giraffe world, mama bear energy is off the charts. Alright, here's a fun one. How much sleep do you think giraffes get? 8 hours? 6? Try 30 minutes a day. Yup. Giraffes are the ultimate minimalists of the animal kingdom. They take tiny power naps that last just a few minutes each, usually standing up. Lying down is risky because it takes them forever to get up again. Sometimes they'll fold their legs and rest their heads on their backs. It looks adorable, like they're doing yoga. But even then, they rarely sleep longer than 10 minutes at a time. Imagine surviving on half an hour of sleep and still being fabulous. Giraffes spend almost all day eating. A single adult can munch through 34 kilograms, 75 pounds of leaves daily. Their digestive system works like a cow's. They're ruminants, meaning they regurgitate food, chew it again, and swallow it back down. It's not glamorous, but it works. The 4-chambered stomach helps them squeeze every drop of nutrition out of those tough acacia leaves. Their favorite trick? Using their long tongues to pick only the freshest, greenest leaves. Total food snobs. So now you know. Inside that graceful, towering body is an absolute masterpiece of design. Every part, from heart to tongue, works together in perfect balance. It's weird, it's wild, and it's wonderful. If you think giraffes are just quiet loners wandering across the savanna, think again. These tall creatures have a surprisingly rich social life, full of friendship, drama, competition, and even a few romantic secrets that would make a reality show jealous. Their world is calm on the surface, but full of subtle codes, gestures, and hidden relationships underneath. Let's start with something people often get wrong. Giraffes don't live in strict herds like elephants or zebras. They live in what scientists call fission-fusion societies, which basically means come and go as you please. There's no permanent leader, no official group. They form loose, changing gatherings that can range from just 2 or 3 giraffes to over 20. One day they're hanging out together. The next day they've split up and joined another crowd. It's like a savanna version of social media, constantly shifting connections, no drama, well, most of the time. Despite that fluidity, certain giraffes do stick together. Mothers and their calves often form tight bonds, traveling and feeding side by side for years. They recognize each other by sight and smell, even from a distance. Studies show that mother giraffes often synchronize their movements, walking, eating, and resting in near-perfect rhythm. It's nature's version of a mother-child duet. Male giraffes, on the other hand, lead a more solitary life. They spend most of their time wandering alone or joining short-term bachelor groups. These groups are basically giraffe gyms, places where young males practice fighting with each other to prepare for adulthood. The fights are rarely violent. They're more like friendly sparring matches, testing neck strength and balance. Over time, the males develop skill and stamina, because one day, those neck battles will decide who gets the girl. Now, about communication, giraffes are quiet, but not silent. For a long time, scientists believed they didn't make sounds at all, but recent research with sensitive audio equipment revealed that giraffes actually hum to each other at night. It's a low-frequency sound, almost like a deep purr, too quiet for human ears. The exact purpose is still a mystery, but it might help them keep contact in the dark without attracting predators. Imagine standing under the stars in the African savanna and hearing a soft, bass-like hum echoing between the trees. That's the secret language of giraffes. They also communicate visually. Their neck posture, ear movement, and even how they swing their tails all send messages. When a giraffe stares at another for a long time, it's not rude, it's conversation. Hey, I see you. Are you cool? Yeah? Okay. A tail flick might mean annoyed but chill, while a stiff neck could mean back off. Subtle, graceful, and perfectly suited for a species that doesn't need to shout. But when males are competing for mates, subtlety goes out the window. That's when necking comes back, the fierce dueling behavior where two males swing their necks at each other. These contests can last minutes or even hours. The winner doesn't always injure the loser. Often he just proves dominance through endurance. What's fascinating is that the loser doesn't necessarily hold a grudge. In fact, after a fight, the two might stand side by side and feed peacefully. It's rivalry without resentment, a lesson most humans could learn. Now, giraffe courtship, that's a story of its own. When a male finds a female he likes, he follows her closely. He'll shadow her movements, sniffing the air, occasionally touching her back gently with his head. Then comes the weirdest part, he tastes her urine. Yeah, not the most romantic image, but it's all for science. By tasting it, he can tell whether she's in estrus, ready to mate. This behavior is called the Flamen response, and it's common in many mammals. But giraffes just do it in the most awkwardly obvious way possible. If the female is ready, mating happens quickly, just a few seconds, but with grace. Then the male often moves on, continuing his lone travels across the savanna, searching for the next opportunity. It sounds casual, but it's a complex, instinctive cycle that keeps giraffe populations balanced across vast territories. Female giraffes, meanwhile, are deeply social with one another. They often form small nursery groups known as creche. In these, one adult female watches over several calves while the others feed nearby. It's a cooperative childcare system, basically giraffe daycare. This allows mothers to eat enough food while keeping their young safe from predators. When danger approaches, the sentinel female gives a silent alarm. Just a sudden posture change, a tense body stance, and within seconds, the whole group reacts. No sounds needed. Communication through pure awareness. Giraffes also display affection in subtle ways. They'll rest their heads gently on each other's backs or necks, sometimes for minutes at a time. It looks like a hug, and it kind of is. These quiet gestures help strengthen social bonds. Even males who fight fiercely one day might share a calm resting moment the next. There's something serene, almost spiritual about how giraffes interact, slow, deliberate, and full of unspoken understanding. Among all this peace and elegance, there's still danger. Lions and hyenas are constant threats, especially for calves. That's why giraffes are almost never truly relaxed. Even when resting, at least one adult keeps watch. Their towering height gives them an advantage. They can spot a predator kilometers away, but they rely on teamwork to stay safe. When one spots danger, the others instantly pick up on it through body language alone. The entire group stiffens, ears tilt forward, tails twitch. If the predator gets too close, giraffes might bolt, or in rare cases form a defensive circle around the calves, using their legs like battering rams. Then there's migration. Giraffes don't migrate long distances like wildebeests, but they do move constantly in search of food and water. During dry seasons, their groups become smaller and more scattered. During rains, when leaves are abundant, giraffes gather in larger numbers. These gatherings aren't random. They often consist of familiar individuals. That means giraffes probably recognize each other after long periods apart, using sight, smell, and maybe even those mysterious nighttime hums. Researchers studying giraffes with drone cameras have noticed something remarkable. Their movements, from above, form elegant flowing patterns almost like a slow-motion dance. The way groups split, merge, and drift across the savanna follows no strict rule, yet it seems organized, rhythmic, and peaceful. It's as if giraffes follow a silent choreography only they can sense. Now, while giraffes may seem peaceful, their hierarchy still matters. Mature males, especially the large, darker ones, hold more respect. Interestingly, a giraffe's color darkens with age, and darker males often dominate mating opportunities. So when you see a nearly chocolate-brown giraffe among lighter ones, you're probably looking at an old, experienced veteran, a boss of the savanna. Calves learn social cues early. They mimic their mother's movements and responses, learning when to flee, when to freeze, and how to read others' signals. Within a few months, they can navigate the social landscape almost instinctively. Still, childhood in the wild is dangerous. Over half of giraffe calves don't survive their first year. But those that do become resilient, cautious, and graceful survivors. As the sun sets on the savanna, giraffe groups start to spread out. Their silhouettes stretch across the golden horizon, silent, calm, and alert. They don't cuddle for sleep or huddle in herds. Instead, each giraffe finds a quiet space close but separate. Some rest standing, others kneel briefly, wrapping their necks in that signature curl. And yet, even in silence, they remain connected. If one stirs, others lift their heads instantly. The bond is invisible but real, woven through habit, instinct, and quiet trust. Giraffe social life is a paradox, both loose and loyal, solitary yet bonded, peaceful but fiercely protective. There's no leader, no pack order, no shouting or roaring, just a gentle balance built on calm awareness and quiet connection. In a world full of noise, giraffes remind us that strength doesn't always need sound, and unity doesn't always need rules. Sometimes just being together, silently, gracefully, is enough. The African savanna looks peaceful from afar, golden grasslands rolling under the sun, dotted with umbrella-shaped acacia trees and a few slow-moving giants wandering gracefully across the horizon. But beneath that calm beauty, it's a battlefield of survival. Heat, drought, predators, and competition make every day a test. And the giraffe, tall and elegant as it seems, is one of nature's greatest survivors. A giraffe's home isn't a single place. They roam across vast territories that can stretch over hundreds of square kilometers. Their world includes open grasslands, sparse woodlands, and dry acacia forests scattered across countries like Kenya, Tanzania, Namibia, and South Africa. Anywhere with tall trees and enough leaves is fair game. They don't defend territories or build nests. Instead, they move where food and safety take them, following the rhythm of rain and growth. Their favorite trees, the iconic acacias, are both friend and foe. Acacias are packed with nutrients and moisture, perfect for giraffes who can go weeks without drinking. But these trees have evolved their own defenses, long thorns sharp enough to pierce skin and chemical signals that alert neighboring trees to produce bitter-tasting toxins when giraffes start munching. It's a chemical arms race, and giraffes are the specialists that keep up. Their long, flexible tongues and tough lips allow them to strip leaves between thorns with surgical precision. Even their saliva is thick and antiseptic, protecting them from cuts and scratches as they eat. Food isn't constant in the savanna. In the wet season, trees are lush and green and giraffes can feast almost anywhere. But in the dry months when grass turns to dust and the trees thin out, giraffes must travel far. Some walk over 30 kilometers a day, pacing slowly but steadily toward greener patches. Their long legs help them cover great distances with minimal effort, like slow-motion marathoners. They don't rush. They conserve energy. Every movement is measured, efficient, and quiet. The diet of a giraffe might seem repetitive, but it's surprisingly diverse. Acacia leaves are the main course, but they also nibble on mimosa, combretum, and wild apricot trees. They prefer new shoots and buds, young leaves with higher protein content. In total, a giraffe eats up to 75 pounds, 34 kilograms of leaves each day. That's a mountain of greens. With four-chambered stomachs, they digest slowly and methodically, chewing cud like cows. After swallowing leaves, they regurgitate the semi-digested mass back into their mouths, chew it again, and swallow it once more. It's not glamorous, but it's incredibly effective for extracting every last nutrient. This constant eating shapes everything they do. Giraffes spend more than 2/3 of their waking hours feeding. They rarely rest for long, and even while chewing, their eyes stay alert, scanning the horizon for predators. You'll never see a giraffe with its guard completely down. It's always halfway between a meal and an escape plan. Predators are the ever-present danger. Lions are the main threat, especially for calves. But hyenas, leopards, and African wild dogs also take their chances. Adult giraffes, though, are formidable opponents. A single kick can kill. Their long legs can strike in any direction with terrifying force. Lions usually attack only at night when visibility is low. Even then, it's a deadly gamble. A lion aiming for a giraffe's throat must avoid hooves that can hit with the power of a sledgehammer. Some lions have scars on their faces as reminders of failed attempts. Still, giraffes can't always win. Their biggest vulnerability is when they bend down to drink. That deep bow, legs spread, neck down, is an open invitation to predators. Many giraffes avoid drinking entirely, relying instead on moisture from leaves. Their bodies are astonishingly efficient, recycling water and tolerating dehydration that would exhaust most mammals. Even their droppings are dry and compact, proof that not a single drop of moisture goes to waste. Heat is another enemy. Under the savanna sun, temperatures can soar above 40 degrees at 104 degrees. but giraffes handle it effortlessly. Their light-colored coats reflect sunlight, and the patches on their skin do more than look pretty. They help regulate temperature. Each dark spot covers a dense network of blood vessels and sweat glands. When the animal needs to cool down, blood flows to these spots, releasing heat like tiny radiators. The pattern isn't random. It's part of a personal cooling system, unique to each giraffe, like a fingerprint with a purpose. Even with those adaptations, shade is precious. During the hottest hours of the day, giraffes seek shelter under trees. They stand quietly, chewing, their shadows merging with the leaves above. From a distance, they blend into the pattern of branches and sunlight, almost disappearing. Despite their size, giraffes can be remarkably stealthy. In the shimmering heat of noon, a giraffe standing still can vanish into the mirage. Then there's the matter of sleep, or rather, the lack of it. Giraffes sleep less than almost any mammal on Earth, sometimes less than 30 minutes in a day, often in short bursts lasting just a few minutes each. They usually sleep standing up, but when they do lie down, they fold their legs under their bodies and curl their necks so the head rests on the rump. It looks peaceful, almost poetic, but it's a dangerous position. Getting up takes time, and every second counts if a predator approaches. So even in rest, they remain half awake, ears twitching, eyes half open, ready to spring. Waterholes are the great meeting points of the savanna, and giraffes, like all animals, visit them cautiously. When one bends to drink, the rest stand guard. It's a wordless cooperation. No calls, no warnings, just awareness. If danger appears, the drinker snaps upright, and within seconds, the whole group bolts. Dust explodes into the air, long necks and legs slicing through the sunlight as they flee in a slow-motion storm of elegance and fear. Despite these challenges, giraffes thrive. Their slow, deliberate pace hides a strategy that's lasted millions of years. Don't rush, don't waste energy, and always stay aware. In the wild, patience is power. They also play an important role in their ecosystem. As they eat, giraffes prune the tops of trees, stimulating new growth. Their droppings spread seeds far across the land, helping the savanna renew itself. Birds like oxpeckers perch on their backs, eating ticks and parasites. It's a living partnership, mutual survival disguised as stillness. And then there's the rain. When it finally comes, the transformation is instant. The dusty ground bursts with green, flowers bloom, and the air smells alive. Giraffes lift their heads higher than ever, feeding on the fresh canopy. Calves chase each other through the wet grass, awkward and joyous, while adults stand watch under sudden rainbows. The savanna hums with renewal, and the giraffes, tall and quiet, become part of the rhythm again. Eating, walking, surviving, always moving forward. But the greatest challenge isn't always natural. As humans expand farmland and settlements, giraffe habitats shrink. Once spread across much of Africa, some populations have dropped by more than half in the past 30 years. Poaching and habitat loss push them closer to danger, even extinction in some regions. Yet hope remains. Conservationists and local communities are working to protect the remaining herds, building corridors and reserves to keep their long paths open. Because if the giraffes disappear, the savanna changes forever. Every rustle of leaves, every shifting shadow, every tall silhouette against the sunset reminds us that the giraffe isn't just another animal. It's the heartbeat of the African plains. Quiet, enduring, and endlessly graceful, it survives not by speed or ferocity, but by calm persistence. In a world of chaos, it stands still and endures. And maybe that's the savanna's greatest lesson. Sometimes the tallest aren't just the ones who see farthest, they're the ones who stand longest. For millions of years, giraffes have wandered the African plains, silent witnesses to the rise and fall of empires, the ebb and flow of seasons, and the slow heartbeat of the earth itself. Their story is ancient, older than humanity, and yet in just a few human generations their future has become uncertain. The tallest creatures on land now stand at the edge of survival. Once, giraffes roamed freely across most of Africa, from the deserts of Namibia to the forests of West Africa and the grasslands of Kenya and Tanzania. There were millions of them, moving in loose herds, their shadows stretching across endless horizons. But today, fewer than 100,000 giraffes remain in the wild. That's less than a quarter of what existed just 50 years ago. Quietly, almost without the world noticing, the giants have been disappearing. Their decline hasn't been caused by one disaster, but by 1,000 small cuts. Habitat loss, poaching, climate change, and human expansion all working together in slow motion. Giraffes, so calm and graceful, have no defense against bulldozers and borders. Across Africa, land that once held open savanna is being transformed. Farms, roads, and towns cutting through migration routes that giraffes have followed for centuries. Where there were once trees, there are now fences. And for an animal that depends on wide space and scattered trees, fences are deadly walls. They block access to food, water, and safety. A giraffe's stride meant for freedom becomes a trap inside shrinking land. Poaching adds another shadow. Giraffes aren't usually hunted for sport like elephants or lions, but they are killed for meat, hides, and even superstition. In some regions, people believe giraffe bones or tails hold magical properties, or that drinking giraffe bone marrow can cure AIDS. These myths have fueled illegal killings that go mostly unreported. Unlike elephants with their tusks, giraffes die quietly. There's rarely an outcry. No global spotlight, just absence. Then there's climate change. Droughts are becoming harsher and longer, turning grasslands into dust bowls. Trees wither, rivers shrink, and giraffes must walk farther and farther for food. Every step takes more energy. Every dry season lasts longer. Calves grow weaker, fewer survive. Nature, once balanced, begins to tilt. But despite all that, there is hope. Across Africa, conservationists, scientists, and local communities are fighting to protect these towering survivors. Their work is quiet, patient, and powerful, just like the giraffes themselves. In Kenya, the Giraffe Conservation Foundation, GCF, tracks giraffes with GPS collars, mapping their movements and helping governments create safe corridors that connect fragmented habitats. In Namibia, local tribes have joined community conservancies, managing land where giraffes and people share space peacefully. Instead of seeing giraffes as competition for grazing, many now see them as part of their heritage and a source of ecotourism income that helps schools and villages thrive. One of the most successful stories comes from Niger. Just a few decades ago, the West African giraffe was almost extinct. Fewer than 50 individuals left. Today, thanks to community protection and strict conservation laws, that number has grown to over 600. It's a small miracle in a continent where so many species are disappearing. It shows what happens when people decide that coexistence is worth fighting for. Still, the struggle is far from over. The northern giraffe and Kordofan giraffe populations continue to decline sharply. Civil unrest, illegal hunting, and habitat destruction make conservation difficult in some regions. Every year, the maps shrink a little more. Tiny dots of giraffe range surrounded by human expansion. It's a race against time. And yet, there's something about giraffes that inspires people to keep trying. Maybe it's their gentleness, the way they move without noise, never rushing, never angry. Maybe it's their otherworldly beauty, the way sunlight slides down their patterned necks like liquid gold. Or maybe it's the simple truth that the world feels emptier without them. Researchers have started calling the giraffe a silent extinction, because unlike rhinos or elephants, their decline hasn't made global headlines. They vanish quietly, one herd at a time without protest or drama. But silence doesn't mean absence of value. It means we haven't been listening. In the wild, giraffes are architects of the savanna. They shape the landscape, pruning tall trees and spreading seeds across vast areas. Without them, acacias would grow too dense, smaller plants would die, and the entire balance of the ecosystem could shift. Birds, insects, and even other herbivores depend on the space giraffes create. Protecting giraffes isn't just about saving a single species. It's about preserving the rhythm of the plains. Technology is helping too. Conservationists now use drones and AI-powered photo recognition to identify individual giraffes by their unique spot patterns. It's like fingerprinting for wildlife. With that data, scientists can track births, deaths, and migrations across thousands of kilometers, understanding which areas are most vital to protect. In some places, local rangers use motorcycles instead of trucks to patrol faster and reduce fuel costs. Simple, smart ideas making real change. Tourists also play a role. Every visit to a national park, every photo taken from a safari jeep, every dollar spent on eco-lodges, those contribute to conservation. When communities see that living giraffes bring more value than dead ones, protection becomes a shared goal. Education turns fear into respect and curiosity into care. But perhaps the most important part of the giraffe's survival story is not science, it's emotion. Children in Africa grow up seeing giraffes not as distant icons, but as neighbors, part of the land. Artists paint them. Musicians sing about them. They're symbols of grace, calm, and perspective, reminders to stand tall even in difficult times. In a way, the giraffe's struggle mirrors our own. It's about learning to live within limits, to coexist, to protect what sustains us. It's about realizing that silence isn't emptiness, it's balance, and that every life, no matter how quiet, has a place in the great network of the wild. When a giraffe walks across the horizon, it doesn't hurry. It trusts the world around it. It knows the trees will bloom again, the rains will return, and the sun will rise tomorrow. But for that tomorrow to come, it needs space, safety, and our care. Its survival now depends not on evolution, but on us. In the future we choose to build, cities and technology and speed. The giraffe remains a reminder of what we stand to lose if we forget how to slow down, how to look up, how to coexist with wonder. Imagine the savanna without them. No long shadows at dusk, no silhouettes beneath the acacias, no quiet watchers of the horizon. The tallest heart in the animal kingdom would be gone, and with it something ancient and gentle would vanish too. But it's not too late. Across Africa, more giraffes are being protected each year. More land is being set aside. More people are learning that these creatures aren't just part of Africa's story, they're part of ours. Because in the end, saving the giraffe isn't just about saving an animal. It's about saving a way of life. A world where beauty, patience, and silence still have room to exist. And maybe, if we stand tall like them, calm, steady, unyielding, we'll help make sure their long shadows still fall across the savanna for generations to come. And that, my friends, is the story of the giraffe, the silent giant of the African plains. From its ancient origins to its graceful stride through the savanna, from the dangers it faces to the quiet hope of conservation. The giraffe reminds us of something simple yet profound, that true strength doesn't roar. It stands tall. It endures. It lives in harmony with the world around it. As we look up at these gentle giants, maybe we can learn something from them. To move with patience, to see from a higher perspective, and to protect the beauty that still breathes across this planet. Every creature, no matter how quiet, has a story worth telling. And the giraffe's story is one we must never let fade into silence. If you enjoyed this journey into the wild, make sure to subscribe to TVP Wildlife, where we bring the wild closer to you, one story at a time. Hit the bell to stay tuned for more adventures with the world's most fascinating creatures. And remember, stand tall, stay wild, see the world with wonder. Thanks for watching. This is TVP Wildlife, and we'll see you in the next adventure.